Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome to a new series. Just gonna call it How to Play Sins. Basically, we're gonna be using Sins of the Prophets, the mod, as kind of like just a baseline, just because it's the mod that I play all the time. I rarely play the vanilla games, so I don't wanna uninstall the mod and do it for that. So everything though for every mod is generally the same. The basics are all the same. Some mods have different mod specific stuff, obviously. So there might be like one or two extra buildings in a different mod that aren't in this one, but when you get down to like the bare bones of it, everything is generally the same. I will say this though before we go any further, that I am not the best player. I don't even think that I am a good player. I've just been playing this game for a long time and I know all the basics. I only recently just beat the hardest difficulty for Sins of the Prophets. So if you're already like into the game and you're like an advanced player or whatever, this isn't gonna fucking help you at all, because I don't even think I'm an advanced player. This is basically a noob that's been playing the game for a while, talking to noobs that haven't been playing the game. If that's not your thing, then you can leave or you can stay and leave some tips in the comments if I miss anything or if I screw something up. So now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the first part. So this is going to be the first part and probably a 7-part series. Not going to do a full playthrough, just going to do 7 parts, go over like the very basics, like just all the stuff that to me, I wish I would have known when I had first like opened up the game and played my first match, that type of stuff. The first one, we're just going to go over the settings that you see when you're setting up your match, and then the next one we'll go over like the UI and all that stuff when you first get in game, because if you've never played it before, the UI, it's just like what the fuck. So this part's just going to be about all the settings when you're setting up your matches. So if you don't want to see any of this, just wait for the next part to come out, or maybe you missed something that I'm going to show you, who knows. Alright, starting out with the maps, I do recommend that you play a small map if you've never played before. They're just easier to learn everything on. Playing on the larger maps, it can get kind of difficult if you're new to the whole RTS genre in general. So I do recommend playing on a smaller map just to get used to the game itself, learn all the basic stuff like that, and then you can bump it up to one of the bigger maps if you really want to. So for this instance, we're going to be using 1v1 choke point just because it's a very small map. It's a 1v1 and there's only 1 star. Alright, so right after you pick your map, you can move on to game options. Now, I didn't even realize that game options was a thing until like my 5th match, something like that. So I had no idea you could do any of this stuff. So starting with the game skill modifier on the right side, I have everything set to ×2 except for victory speed. Because I like playing faster games. You can mix and match and make whatever you want. This will affect every person in the game, whether you're playing with friends or AIs. This will affect all the players. So if you want like really fast matches, you can put everything on ×2. If you want regular speed matches, you can go down to ×1. Maybe you want to mix and match in like really slow ships and really slow research, but really fast construction and moderately fast income rates in like really small fleets. You know, maybe you can mix and match, basically make whatever you want, do whatever you want with your game scale modifiers. But I like to put everything on ×2 just because I like massive fleets and I like having fast-paced games. And victory speed only really affects the game if you're going to play research, diplomatic, or occupation victory. So I would not recommend playing any of those for your first match. I don't even really play any of those like ever. I've had this game for a while and those game types just aren't appealing to me. They're not that fun. So we'll get into the game types next, but if you're playing a diplomatic, a research, or an occupation victory, you can choose victory speed and it'll speed up how long it takes to win one of those. That's up to you. You can make it shorter or longer. Like I said, it's all up to you. Now this works with any mod, but Sins of the Prophets in particular, the pirates are called the Flood, but all the other mods, they'll be called the Pirates basically. You can turn them on or off if you want. I think default they're set to on. And in this mod in particular, the Flood is just ridiculous. Other mods, the pirates aren't as hard as the Flood is, but in this mod, I usually turn them off, and then if you want, you know, for other mods, you can turn them on, but I think the default is on, like I said, so it's up to you if you want to turn them on or off. But I believe if you want them off, you have to actually come in here and turn them off. Unlocked teams just basically makes it to where you can switch over and play as another person mid-game if you want. So if you load into a 1v1, you versus an AI, and you're playing as like the UNSC, and then you save the game, you go back to the main menu and you reload into the game, you can switch over and play as the Covenant if you want to. Quick Start is probably probably the biggest thing in this whole game option thing. It took me a while to even figure out that Quick Start was an option that you could do. It basically just starts you out with 2 research facilities, one of each type, military and civilian, 1 capital ship factory, and 2 frigate factories. And then you also have every single asteroid in your belt is already, it already has a mining structure on it. So you don't have to build those. You start out with that. And I think you also start out with a small boost to your resources as well. So it definitely speeds the early game up. If you don't have this on, it can take like 30 minutes just to even start building ships. With this on, you can literally just get right into building ships and expanding your empire and shit like that. So Quick Start is definitely a huge time saver in this case. If that's not your thing, you like starting from scratch, then you can turn it off. That's kind of, I would not recommend turning it off. It's a lot easier with Quick Start, even on the harder difficulties. So it's up to you. I always leave it on, but that is Quick Start. Random events is basically just, occasionally you'll get a notifier saying that oh, there's a plasma storm coming to this planet, or oh, there's this coming here, or this asteroid belt has, I don't know, something on it. That's what the random events seem to be for Sins of the Prophets. It's just like random plasma storms and stuff like that. But for other mods like Star Trek Armada 3, I noticed that one of the random events was like the crystalline entity would just randomly appear on the map somewhere and it would just start killing shit. So that's basically what random events is. It's just like, it says it in the bottom right corner. It's just galaxy-wide devastating events, basically. I haven't noticed any devastating events in Sins of the Prophets in particular, but other mods I've definitely seen some actual random events pop up that are like, oh fuck, we need to deal with this. And then Outlaw Sectors, I haven't actually played enough to know what it is. If someone that has played it wants to leave a comment, feel free to. I have no idea what it does. I believe it just makes the pirate factions even stronger. It just gives them a really massive presence compared to their previous presence. I don't know. But I think it just makes them stronger. It kind of says in the bottom right corner that it just basically makes them stronger. And I think you can also get outlaws on your side, I don't know, bounty hunters or something like that. I have no idea. Like I said, I haven't played it. I could be completely wrong, but I think it just makes the pirates more active or something like that. And you can also get pirates fighting for you, I believe. But like I said, haven't played it enough. So that might be something that you'll have to research on your own to figure that out, because I don't want to give any definite conclusion to that because I haven't played it. All right, now that all the game options are out of the way, let's move over to the victory options. Now here's where it gets interesting. This mod only has 3 victory options right now. There's normally 6. There's diplomatic victory, allied victory, capital victory, and then there's usually flagship victory, research victory, and occupation victory. Diplomatic victory is you just basically have to be a diplomat. You have to do missions. You have to complete those missions. You have to basically get on the good side and earn diplomatic points to win the game. And then once you reach a certain amount of diplomatic points, like it says right here, you win the game. Allied victory just basically means that if your allies, if you're playing a 2v2 or a 3v3, if one of them wins the game, then you also win the game. So you can have this on with another thing. So you could have that on with that and that on with that. And I think if you don't have this on, it just automatically turns your allies into your enemies because there's no one else to battle. So they're just like, fuck it, turn against each other, that sort of deal. I just leave it off because I normally play 1v1s. And then there's capital victory. This is the one that I'd normally play 98% of the time. This is basically just the planet that you start out with is your homeworld planet. That's your capital planet. And the first team to lose their planet loses the game. That's why I like playing that. It speeds it up a little bit. So if you get tired of playing the same game, you can just build up a strike force and go and attack the enemy homeworld, and then you win the game. Moving on to the 3 victory options that aren't in this mod, you have research victory. It's basically very similar to diplomatic victory. You basically have to research tech and get to the highest tech level, I think. And then once you're at the highest level, there's a research option that you can choose that takes an extremely long time to research, but once it's done researching, you win the game. And then occupation victory, one of the other victories that's not in this mod, is basically there's a neutral planet somewhere in the map on the galaxy, whatever you want to call it, and it's guarded by a neutral fleet basically pirates. We'll just call them pirates. And you have to kill all of them, take the planet, and hold the planet for a certain amount of time in order to win. But the enemy can actually come and take the planet from you, and then it resets the timer, and they have to hold it for a certain amount of time in order to win. You can also go and retake it from them. So you basically just have to take and hold a certain planet somewhere in order to win. And then there's flagship victory, which is basically just each team spawns in with a flagship that is basically a really good flagship. It's similar to a Titan, essentially, and it's really good for early game if you want to take stuff, but if you lose your flagship, even if it's killed by pirates or just people that are guarding the neutrals that are guarding the planets before you capture them, you lose the game. So flagship, basically, you lose your flagship, you're out of the game. But like I said, I prefer capital victory, so that's the one that I'm going to have on for this match. So now that all of this is out of the way, I basically covered everything here. We'll go into create the lobby now. So this is probably self-explanatory. Right here is where you can change your race from the UNSC to Covenant if you want. Other mods, when you change the race, it'll normally pop up a secondary screen and it'll give you a brief description of that faction, not race, we'll call them factions. So it'll give you a short description of that faction, and like you can see some of the icons for the ships and stuff like that. And then you can choose which faction you want to play on that screen. Since this mod only has 2 factions, it's just click once or click twice and choose your faction. And then right here, if you're playing on a large map that then like has 8 players, but you only want to do a 1v1, you can just come over here and click the AI button and it'll get rid of the AI. But in this case, I want the AI on because it's a 1v1 and it would be pointless to go into a game with just me. And then right next to that, you have the difficulty. I recommend starting on a lower difficulty, mainly because the AI in this is just relentlessly hard. So what I did was I started on the lowest difficulty and I would just move up, and then every time I would hit a road bump, I would sit there and I would play that difficulty that I can't, like if I got all the way up to, let's say, heroic, and I'm playing heroic, but I can't beat heroic. I'm having a tough time on it. I would keep playing heroic until I could beat it. And then once I could beat it without a problem, I would move up to legendary. And I would just keep moving up and up and up until only recently, my last playthrough that I did was on Reclaimer, and I beat it on the first try. That's how I did it. That's how I would recommend other people do it. But if you want to just go straight into the hardest difficulty and get wrecked, you can do that if you want, but in this case, we're just going to put it on easy because we're just going over shit. And then right next to this is the type of enemy that you want to face. If you want it to be randomly chosen, you just leave it as the question mark. If you want him to be very aggressive, I don't know why I said him. If you want it to be very aggressive, you can choose aggressor, and basically he'll attack on very early and he'll continuously attack you. He'll just keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, basically. And then if you click one more time, you have fortifier, which is basically the opposite of aggressor. He waits for you to attack him. I keep saying him even though it's a fucking AI. And then the next 2 I don't use at all. There's researcher and there's economist. I think that they just play the same as everything else. Like if I put something on economist or if I put something on research, they just play the game normally. They attack, but they don't attack often, and they defend their planets basically. So that's basically what researcher and economist is. But they also, obviously, they focus on their economy or their research, but they still attack and defend. Whereas fortifier, they only defend. I've never seen them attack when I put them on fortifier, unless you're playing with an ally and you put your ally on fortifier and you tell them to attack a planet. And then aggressor is the only one where I've ever seen them like actively and very aggressively attack you. So if you want to learn to play the game, I would definitely recommend putting it on fortifier. It's easy. It just allows you to learn all the shit. It allows you to take it slow and just learn the stuff your way. And then when you want to move up to a little bit of a challenge, put it on aggressor. And then obviously right here, you can change your teams. Just keep clicking. It goes all the way up to 10. So if you want to have multiple teams, if you're playing on like a really massive map and you want to have like a 2v1 or something like that, you can do that. Or maybe you want to do you versus 9. I don't fucking know why you'd want to do that. That's actually a good idea. Maybe I should try that. But you can do that if you want. So that's how you change your team. And then right next to that is the icon. So you can change the color and the icon if you want. Just extra little stuff you can do basically. But that's basically how you set up your game. I wish I would have known all of that, like the game option stuff, when I had first got this game, because I literally just picked a map and then I went to here and then I hit start. I didn't even realize that victory options and game options were a thing. I didn't want to mess with them because I didn't know what they did, and I didn't know if like it was going to make it harder or worse or easier or whatever. All right, that is basically that for the first one. I don't know how often I'm going to release these. Maybe once a week, maybe twice. I don't know. Because I'm going to keep doing my playthroughs that I'm doing for this, and I'm putting those out 2 times a week. So I might put this out once a week on like Wednesdays or something. I don't know. We'll see. Depends on if it even does good or not. If it doesn't do good, then I might not even finish it, because if it's not helping anyone, what's the point? So who the fuck knows? But if you want to keep watching, feel free to subscribe and all that shit that everyone says at the end of videos. The next part will probably be up a week after this one. I'll probably put this up on Wednesday. Like I said, part 2 about the UI will be next Wednesday. So if you want to watch that, then fucking stay tuned for that and all that other shit, like I said. So I will see you guys in the next one.